Okay, so up next we're going to be enlarging the bypass holes for the pilot. So a couple things about this. First off, you're going to have to get a pin drill like this, or pin vise, to hold this tiny drill bit, and it's supposed to be drilled by hand. When you're drilling it, Ivans makes a big note about the fact that once it goes into the hole, it should be snug and not loose. And you should only turn it maybe a half or 3/4 of a turn or so to clear the chips. You can see that there. Okay, so once you are ready to drill them, they need to be drilled from the back, or this side. The side closer to the end, or the front. The side closer to the engine. Ivans calls it the front. Also turn the idle all the way in so it opens up your butterflies so you can get to the pilot holes. You can kind of see them down here, right here. So after that, you're going to drill them at an angle about like this from the top. Be very careful not to break the drill bit. It's pretty easy to break. So let me show you those holes again. Okay, so this is the holes I was talking about. There's 3 of them there. The ones you're going to be drilling out is the one that's right there in the back, closest to the needle jet valve, and the one to the left of it right there that's slightly forward. Only those 2 will be drilled, not this one or this one. So again, that's only the 2 in the back closest to the needle jet need to be drilled out. Alright, so let's go ahead and start drilling these. I already did the first one here as a test, so we'll go ahead and do this one here. So I'm just using real gentle pressure and turning that drill by hand. Getting closer, you can see it starting to go through there. Okay, so I've just gone through there. You can feel the drill bit get tight. We're just going to give it a turn so it breaks that chip through there. And it's through, and then pull it back out. Take a look at the hole. It's not quite through yet. My vise is slipping here, so let me tighten that up. I think I got it there. Yep, it's through. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and do this next one that's right here. So go ahead and start drilling that. Oh, one other thing to note is make sure that the pin vise is straight up and down with the axis of the carburetor. That way your hole's not off to one side that might cause issues with idling and things like that. Okay, and we're through on both of those. You can see the holes now are quite a bit bigger. So we'll go ahead and go to the next one. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start drilling this one right here. Again, get that pin vise straight up and down and start turning. Alright, and that one's done. We'll go ahead and go to the 4th one here. Okay guys, now that we've got the pilot holes drilled, it's time to go ahead and start reassembling the carburetors. So we'll start with the bottom probably because it makes the most sense. It's time to go ahead and reinstall the needle jet tubes. They just simply thread in and then are snugged up. Just be sure not to over tighten them. And like I said, just a little bit of a snug up. Careful not to break them. So next I'll go ahead and reinstall the pilot jets. These are going to be the factory ones, so you're going to be reusing those. You're going to want to make sure they're clean before you install them. Those are going to go in this little hole right here, the lower hole. So just go ahead and set those in there. Again, be careful tightening these up. You don't want to over torque it and break one of them. That's going to cause you a lot of problems. Okay, go ahead and remove the idle back again because it needs to have the spring put back on it. Okay, then the last jet to go in is I guess it's the mid-range jet. I forget what these are called also. On this engine, you need to note that it's the one with the spacer. Sorry about that, there we go. It has a little brass spacer. These jets are 42.5s. These jets go right here on this hole. You can see right there behind the main needle jet. Okay, until I find that last one, we're gonna go ahead and install the Ivan's main jets here. For this kit, they are 127.5s, and they're just gonna go right here, screwing into the needle valve, or needle jet. All right, now I just gotta find this jet real quick. It was just hiding under one of the carb bowls, so again, I'll install that, make sure that one's clean through there. Make sure I got my spacer on it and go ahead and install that right there. Okay, so next it's time to go ahead and check the float bowl height because this is going to be different on these carbs, but I may go ahead and put the top part of the carb back together just to make it a little bit easier first. So yeah, I decided to go ahead and start at the top, so we'll go ahead and flip these over. These are pretty easy to put in. They pretty much just slide right in there. Just make sure you've got the needle lined up with the hole in the bottom and don't try to force it or anything like that. Alright, up next is the spring. It just slides right down in the hole. So then we'll go ahead and put the cap back on. Remember that little tiny O-ring I mentioned earlier? That's got to go in here. It goes right here on the spot. So I'll just set that O-ring there and bring that cap straight in. Then of course we'll put these screws back in right here. I'll just repeat the same thing going down here. Just remember to make sure you get that little tiny O-ring back in there. Okay, up next is this one. This one's got a little bit of extra stuff on it. But we'll go ahead and more or less do it the same way. Where'd that O-ring go? Oh, stuck inside here. Alright, so again, we just put the O-ring right there. Making sure we're lined up with that hole on the bottom to the O-ring. The regular screw that's like the rest of them goes on this side here. Then this side, it's the cable holder and the spring return for the choke. So it's just going to go just like that. Then the spring is going to go from this piece over to this bar right here, and it just slides right in. Well, I'm going to go ahead and put this on first. Okay, we'll go ahead and put that spring back on right there. So that's your choke right there. Make sure it moves freely. And then of course the cable will go here over to this. And you'll notice I'm missing a screw. Apparently it's rattled out in its history at some point. And then we're gonna go ahead and install this last one down here. So it's just the same as the rest. We'll get that little O-ring back in place. Put the spring in the hole. Get it lined up there. Bring it right on down. There we are. This side also has a bracket on it, but I can't remember which side it's on. Probably this side. The screw is really short. That or someone was just using the wrong screw, but I think there's a bracket over here. So go ahead and get that first one down. Then I'll gently run this one down since the plate's not there. Alright, so the top's done. So now go ahead and go to the bottom. Okay, so now we got to adjust the float height. Stock on these carburetors is 12.5 millimeters. Ivan's wants them adjusted to 14 millimeters. So they're going to need to be lowered a little bit. So I've already measured all these and they are in fact 12.5. So we'll just need to go up a little bit from there. Okay, I'm going to lock this at 14 millimeters so we know we're right. And we're going to be using this end right here to measure. So the way this is measured is, so if you're familiar with the carburetor, you know the needle, float needle, has a little bit of a spring in there. So it'll first touch, then it'll spring down. So where it's going to be measured from is when the float first comes into contact with the needle and it seats, but doesn't press down the needle valve. I know you can't really see that in there, but you can feel it when it first comes, when it pulls the needle up, and then when the needle seats, and then before the spring starts pressing down. So about right there. So we can, and then we're going to measure from this to the top of the float. So the float needs to come down just a smidge. So that's going to get bit, this tab right here is going to get bitten down just a bit. Okay, then we'll try measuring it again. Sorry, I got it upside down. I can't really get it to stay on the needle otherwise. So I think I may have went a little bit too far there. So we'll come back a little bit on that. Yep, just a smidge need to come back. So I'll bend that back up some. All right, right there. Take that measurement again. So way too far the other way. It's a sensitive thing and it's gonna take a little bit of trial and error. Try that again. So I come back some. There we are, got it that time. So now I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side, same way. So you can kind of see where the needle will sit. Even if I lean it too much far, you can see the float depressed there, where as I come back, it'll sit right on the edge. So right there is exactly where it needs to be, and you can see the gap there between 14, so we need to go ahead and bring this one up some. Try that again. Closer. Here more. There we are, spot on. So now we just gotta do the two middle ones. It's gonna be the same process. We know they're already at 12.5 and they're gonna need a little bit down, so go ahead and try that first. So too far on that one. Spot on. So one more. Same thing on this one. Now it's just a smidge shy, so just give it the lightest pressure downward. Try that again. Down just a smidge. Perfect. Now check these two again. Perfect. All right, pretty much perfect on all those. So the float height's set now, and now I just got to put the bowls back on. So now we're just simply putting the bowls back on. The only thing you want to watch out for here is to make sure the drains are pointing the way you need to. So making sure the right one is going on the right spot. I've already put some light oil on this to make sure the gasket seals well. So we know this one's correct because it's pointing that way. So go ahead and start running these in. I'm not going to get all of them all the way down, or any of them all the way down, till I get all of these at least in there somewhat, or close to being down. First one down, second one. Alright, these are together. Now we just need to install the accessories like the idle. Make sure you got that spring on there. It just threads in like before. And I'll just thread this down until I got the throttle plates a little bit open so it'll start. And then it's going to go right here on this with a screw through it. And that's just going to go right through there and bolt it on. There we go. And that should spin freely. Adjust your idle. Also, once I put these back on the bike, I'm going to have to sync the carbs and reset the throttle position sensor. I'll go over that in a later video on the syncing the carbs, but usually the first thing I like to do before I even do that is make sure all the gaps are about the same on these carbs. It makes it a whole lot closer when you start syncing so you're not way off and chasing it. So now I just need to put the hoses back on and they're going to be ready to go. So these just slide on like they were. And you just had to put the clamp back in place. I usually like to try to keep the clamp, these things away from everything so it doesn't cut you as much. Still gonna cut you. Okay, then that last one just goes right here. There we go. Now I'm just gonna install these little guys here. However, I don't remember which one was on which side, but they go on these two right here. So I'll wait to put those back on just because there's no need to put them on right now. Okay, so the carbs are done and ready to go back on the bike. The only other thing you need to remember to do is modify your air box as shown in this diagram. Basically on the inlet, the back half is just cut out. So make sure you do that. Thanks for watching, guys. It may be a bit before I get the next video up with the holidays coming up and everything, but I'll try my best to get a few new videos up during this time. Maybe some random stuff, maybe some video of the lathe. Just don't know yet. But anyway, thanks for watching and see you next time.